Conductor is a free extension for Gemini CLI that Google released back in December 2025, and honestly, it changes how you work with Gemini CLI in a pretty meaningful way. It's not a separate product, it's not a paid add-on, it's just an extension you install into the Gemini CLI you probably already have. And what it does is bring a proper structured development workflow into your terminal so that instead of just chatting your way through a project and losing all that context when the session ends, you've got persistent markdown files sitting right in your repo that the AI reads every single time. That's the core idea. Your project knowledge lives in your codebase, not in a chat log. So today, I'm going to walk you through the full workflow, from installing it to actually building something. And I want to walk you through every step in order because there are a few commands that need to run in the right sequence. And I've seen people skip setup and wonder why things aren't working right. Alright, first thing, you need Gemini CLI itself installed. If you don't have it yet, open your terminal and run this command. You need Gemini CLI, and that's it. Once that's done, you can just type Gemini in your terminal to open it. Now, Gemini CLI has a free tier that gives you access to Gemini models without needing to pay for API keys, which is one of the things that makes the whole stack genuinely accessible. After you've confirmed it works, you install the Conductor extension with this install command. The auto-update flag at the end is optional, but I'd leave it in. The extension is actively maintained, and there have been updates since the initial December release. They added a universal file resolution protocol, tracks directory improvements, and style guides for more languages. Keeping auto-update on means you don't have to think about it. Once the install finishes, you can verify it worked by running /extensions list. Inside the Gemini CLI, you should see Conductor listed there with its commands. Now here's the step that actually matters. Before you do anything else, you need to run /conductor setup. This runs once per project, and it's what scaffolds the entire context foundation. Without this, the rest of the workflow doesn't have anything to reference. When you run it, Conductor walks you through setting up 4 key things: your product definition, your product guidelines, your tech stack, and your workflow preferences. Each of those gets written out to a file in a Conductor folder inside your project directory. So for this, when Conductor asks me to define the product, I tell it, a single-page front-end expense tracker where users can add expenses with a name, amount, and category, delete them, and see a running total. When it asks about guidelines, that's where I set things like the visual style, clean, minimal, readable, and the tech stack section is where I specify plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript with no build tools and no framework dependencies. There's also a workflow file where you can configure things like whether you want TDD, test-driven development, and how you want commits structured. Conductor actually includes a workflow template that defines detailed phase completion protocols, checkpoint commits, and verification steps. It's honestly pretty thorough. Once setup finishes, your Conductor folder looks like this: product.md, productguidelines.md, techstack.md, workflow.md, and tracks.md. These files are version controlled alongside your actual code, so if someone else clones your repo and runs Gemini CLI with Conductor, they get the exact same context you set up. That's a genuinely useful thing for teamwork because it means the AI produces consistent output no matter who's running the commands. One thing worth knowing, Conductor is smart about whether you're starting a new project or working on something that already exists. For new projects, it builds context from scratch based on your answers. For existing codebases, it analyzes your directory first. It respects Git ignore and Gemini ignore, so it's not burning tokens on irrelevant files, and large files get sampled rather than fully read. So it's not a naive setup that just dumps your whole codebase into context. Now, once setup is done and you've got your context files in place, the next step is starting a track. A track in Conductor is basically a unit of work, one feature, one bug fix, one self-contained task. You start one by running, or if you want to pass a description right away, /conductor new track, and then build a front-end expense tracker with add, delete, and category filter. Conductor then does 2 things. First, it creates a spec.md file that spells out the detailed requirements, what you're building and why. Second, it creates a plan.md file that breaks the work into phases, tasks, and subtasks with checkbox markers. The track ID follows the specific format so you can have multiple tracks and keep them organized over time. This is the part where you actually review before anything gets coded. The spec and plan are just markdown files. You can read through them, edit them directly if something looks off, or tell the agent to revise a section. For the expense tracker, the plan conductor generated came back as 3 phases. First, the HTML structure and base layout. Second, the CSS styling and responsive behavior. And third, the JavaScript logic, event listeners for adding and deleting expenses, the category filter, and the running total calculation. Each phase had clear individual tasks with checkboxes. That's the point where I check if the plan makes sense, adjust anything I don't like, and then approve it. Now you run Conductor implement. This is where the actual coding happens. Conductor takes your plan, MD, and works through it task by task, checking each one off as it completes. The workflow it follows, and this comes from the workflow template Conductor generates during setup, is pretty systematic. For each task, it selects the next unchecked item, does the work, commits it with a descriptive message, and then marks it done. At the end of each phase, it doesn't just keep going. It stops and runs a verification protocol. It checks what files changed in that phase using git diff, verifies tests if applicable, then prompts you to manually confirm everything looks right in the browser before moving forward. Only after you confirm does it create a checkpoint commit. The checkpoint commits are actually one of the more useful things here. Conductor attaches detailed git notes to each checkpoint commit, a full verification report that includes what was tested and what you confirmed. So months later, when you're looking at your Git history and wondering why something was done a certain way, that information is right there attached to the commit. It's not just code history, it's decision history. So on screen here you can see the expense tracker coming together. After phase 1, it's got the HTML scaffolding, input fields for the expense name, amount, and a category dropdown, a submit button, and a list area below it. After phase 2, the CSS has it looking clean, a centered card layout, color-coded category tags, and the total sitting prominently at the top. Phase 3 is where the JS wires everything up. You can add an entry. It shows up in the list with the right category color. The total updates instantly, and the delete button removes it cleanly. The category filter dropdown at the top lets you view just food, transport, utilities, or all categories together. Nothing fancy, but it's functional and clean, and it got there in 3 structured phases with no guessing about what the AI was going to do. Now this is a good point to talk about where Conductor fits relative to other spec-driven tools I've covered on this channel. I've done full videos on BMAD and OpenSpec. Both of those are frameworks you can use with any AI coding tool. BMAD is a full multi-agent system with specialized roles, product manager agent, architect agent, developer agent, and so on. It's comprehensive and powerful, but there's real setup overhead and a learning curve. OpenSpec is lighter and is designed specifically for existing codebases with a change proposal system. It's agent agnostic, so you can pair it with Claude, Copilot, or Gemini. Neither of those are tightly coupled to a specific CLI. Conductor is different because it's built specifically for Gemini CLI and plugs directly into its command system. You're not bridging a framework to a tool. It's native. The trade-off is that it only works in Gemini CLI. If your primary tool is Claude Code or Cursor, Conductor is not for you. OpenSpec or BMAD would be the right pick, but if Gemini CLI is your main environment, Conductor is the most frictionless way to add structure to your workflow. One thing to keep in mind, the context-driven approach means more tokens per session because Conductor reads your context files at the start of each command. On a small project like this expense tracker, it's barely noticeable. On a larger brownfield project with a lot of accumulated context, it adds up. You can track your current session's token usage by running stats model inside the CLI, which is useful for keeping an eye on things. The other commands worth knowing are Conductor status, which gives you a full read on active tracks, what's complete, what's pending, and overall progress stats, and Conductor revert, which is the smarter than average undo feature. It doesn't just roll back commits blindly, it understands logical units of work. So you can say revert this track or revert just this phase, and it looks at your Git history to figure out exactly what belongs to that unit and undoes it cleanly. The repo is open source, and there have been multiple updates since the December 2025 release. If you're already using Gemini CLI regularly and you're not using Conductor, it's probably worth the 5 minutes it takes to install and set it up. Alright, so that's it from the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.